What's going on, everybody? I'm your average gamer, and in this video I'm going to give you a guide on how to make your Kratos the most overpowered god of war there is. As always, I love y'all. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, go ahead and smash that like button. That would mean a ton, and I hope you enjoy. Peace. So I'm going to try my best to kind of keep this as smooth as possible. So we're just going to jump right into it. Now, the first thing that's always brought up is, what armor set do I use? What's the most OP armor? Which is a very good question, because there's a bunch of them in this game. So, right off rip, probably, everyone's probably going to tell you that the Zeus armor is the best armor in the game. And yes, it technically is. But that doesn't mean it's the most fun, and that doesn't mean it, doesn't have its flaws or nothing like that. Each armor kind of has its unique way of dealing with enemies. And it doesn't make it better or worse. And I've tried to cover that in my last couple of videos talking about this type of stuff. So I'm going to go over each armor set and explain the biggest pro and the biggest con so you can get an idea of maybe how you want to play the game. So starting off with the Zeus armor, I'm pretty sure everyone already knows. Your basic attacks do a bunch of damage. You get a lot of runic attack damage, so it's, high risk, high reward with this one. The risk is going down potentially in just a few hits. So the very next one I have for you, just going down this list, is the Ares armor. So what this allows you to do is get your rage gained at an increased rate, but at the extent of you losing it faster. So it's kind of up to you if you like that or not. I will kind of go over, in my opinion, a better rage armor set, but this also has a lot of pros to it as well, such as having good luck and good cooldown. So you're able to get your runic attacks faster, and you're able to get those enchantments to go off, and your axe pommels and blade pommels to go off more. The very next one after that is the God of War tunic, or the God of War armor. And I don't know what it is about it, but I absolutely love this armor. And no, it's not just because of the high luck. Yes, the high luck makes it super, super interesting, and you can get the highest luck in the game with this armor. So you can have all those enchantments and stuff go off non-stop. But what I think makes it super unique is the perk that you have for each armor set. For the chest piece, it says the Big Splash. Using a Hellstone or Ragestone creates a powerful explosion that inflicts frost and burn damage to all nearby enemies. That works for bosses as well, so you can inflict a lot of damage for that. Now, for the gauntlets, the wrist armor, okay, if Kratos' health bar is full, using Hellstones will grant rage instead. If Kratos' rage bar is full, using Rage Stones will grant health instead. This is one of my favorite wrist armors in the game. Definitely not talked about enough. I haven't really talked about it enough. This is why I'm kind of making this video, again, to showcase how good each armor set is. So basically, after any encounter, you'll have full health and full rage for the very next one to only rinse and repeat. And then for the waist version of it, using a Hellstone or Ragestone grants a protective barrier preventing damage from enemy attacks. So again, just super nice to have. You don't take damage. Say you're trying to run to that Hellstone, right, and you're about to get hit with an attack or something, you go over there, you pick it up, boom, you're invincible for a few seconds. Buys you some time. Super, super nice. The very next armor set I have for you is the Valkyrie set. Now this armor might be the best all-around armor set in the game, having every stat maxed out pretty much except for luck. But with the right enchantments, you can still get high enough luck, which is really good, and you kind of need that a little bit for this armor set. The reason I say a little bit is because this armor has insane cooldown, giving you the capability of getting your runic attacks back in a blink of an eye. Like this one has 14 seconds, 14, 28. All of these are below 30, which is absolutely insane. Then, your stronger ones, your L1, R2s. I would practically use Glaze Storm for this armor set because what the gauntlets do, the wrist armor, it has a low perk activation chance to instantly refresh all runic attack cooldowns at any successful runic attack kill. So anytime that you get a kill with the runic attack, this has a chance of activating. That's where I was saying that luck kind of comes into play just a little bit. So the cherry on top of it all, the waist guard, which gives you a high perk activation chance to grant the Blessing of Runic when using a runic attack. So it's just, again, everything kind of plays together, which is really, really nice, giving you this insane runic armor build. You can just, again, just unleash chaos with this. On top of that all, You can also use a talisman that refreshes all your cooldowns as well. So you're having infinite amount of runic attacks, which is an amazing, insane OP thing. So the very next one I have for you is the tier armor set. Now this is another super balanced build in the game. The only con I really have to it is the perks to it, because you have to take damage in order for this to activate. Which, you know, who's really trying to take all that much damage for something to activate like this? But stats wise, it is across the board one of the best, with, again, one of my favorite stats being luck in there. But you also get that cooldown, you have runic, you have strength, good defense, really high defense, and a little bit of vitality to make you have some survivability. So moving on, right after that, I have the Brok armor set. Now this is the other rage melee build I was kind of referring to when I was talking about the Ares one. The reason I still prefer the Brok one is because you get 2 rage meters instead of 1 in the Ares one. And so with the Brok, you have the ability to kind of call your rage anytime you want. And if you take the time to kind of understand the animations and what fills your rage up faster and stuff like that, you could really take advantage of that with this armor and become almost invincible. The Sindri set. Now this is by far my favorite, and I had listed this as like the best armor in the game. Again, super subjected to opinion, but my whole idea of this being the best armor in the game is just look at that perk to it. That moderate perk activation chance to grant protective barrier, preventing damage from enemy attacks when using runic attacks. So any time that you use practically a runic attack, you'll get a protective barrier, especially if you have like 150 luck, not even. You have 100 luck, it'll probably pop up almost every time. Now, you just have additional luck, it just amplifies that effect, and now you're negating all damage. So this armor doesn't do as much damage as the Valkyrie armor set, but you're taking so much less overall damage when you kind of get the timing together. Now, when you first use it, you know, it's going to feel kind of weird and stuff like that, but when you figure it out, you're like, wow, holy cow, you're invincible. You really become this demigod that can't be touched. So this is the Blazing Magma armor set, and it's alright. It has high cooldown, some decent strength, and some pretty good defense, but that's all the stats for it. The perk for it, it's okay. You get this fiery shield on the ground. By fiery shield, it's just this fiery circle on the ground that makes it so your attacks can't be interrupted, which is kind of nice. It gives you some breathing room. But if you're going to pick a cooldown build, you might as well go ahead and just pick the Valkyrie build. So this armor right here, the Smoldering Brimstone armor set, again, my opinion, hands down one of the most underrated armor sets in the game. Doesn't get enough love. So if you look at it, it doesn't scream best looking armor or super fantastic, especially based off of the stats. All you see is the strength. You're like, eh. What about the runic? What about, again, the luck or the cooldown? So those are the cons, okay? But you're dishing out so much physical damage that it's just nice. It gives you a different feel to the game. But unlike the Zeus armor, you know, the Zeus armor, you can go down in a few hits. This isn't as powerful in the sense of damage-wise compared to the Zeus armor, but this gives you way better survivability, especially with its perks to it. So this gives you a moderate perk activation chance to grant an aura of fire, increasing strength and restoring a small amount of health when damage is taken. Okay, so you equip the full set, and it's going to pop up quite a bit, again, depending on what enchantments you have for luck. So I'm going to kind of go over the rest of these really quickly. The rest of them are just Evaldi's armor sets, and then the breastplate of the Traveler. Upgrade this, okay, to max and sell it, because you will get the perk of the armor, which slowly regenerate a protective barrier that absorbs a single attack, as an enchantment. Okay, so that is an amazing thing to have. So upgrade this, sell it in New Game Plus. Now for the other three, again, just depending on how you want to play, this one right here gives you super high runic. You know, so your runic attacks are just dealing a massive amount of damage. You can get rid of practically, you know, waves of mobs with just a few runic attacks. This one is, it's a pretty balanced one, you know, but you don't have cooldown and you don't have that luck, so you kind of have to be careful with your runic attacks and your talismans. And then this one just gives you very good defense, some decent strength, so a lot of survivability, but you're losing a lot of damage. So that's the con to it for it having a bunch of survivability. Okay, to go over the talismans real quick, the talisman that I have equipped, which I will always kind of tell you to use, is this one, Talisman of the Realms. Summon a realm shift that temporarily slows down surrounding enemies. So you activate this one. So this is manual. You hold L1 and press circle to activate this. It lasts 5 seconds when fully upgraded. Super, super amazing. Comes in clutch all the time. But if you're looking for other ways to play and other super good ones as well, that's what, you know, this whole video is about. I'll tell you. So okay, I lied. This one right here might be single-handedly the most OP one, because if used correctly, you can slow down time permanently. But it's super, super cheesy, and I'm not a cheesy type of player. So again, you can use it if you want, but I'm not I'm not really going to talk about this one. So Talisman of Eternal Fury is that talisman you would use for a rage build or a melee only build, you know, where you're bare hands. You know, again, you can use this for your blades, because your blades can give you some pretty decent rage. So you put this equipped, and when you manually trigger it, it gives you some rage, but also has a passive effect that increases the amount of rage gained from combat. So that is super awesome. So this talisman right here, I would recommend for anybody. This Talisman of Unbound Potential. It refreshes all runic attack cooldowns. So the way you would want to use this is you want to get rid of all your runic attacks. You want to just spam them all. And then when you have a good cooldown where you don't want to wait the 10, 15, 20 seconds, you activate this. Get all your runic attacks and then use it again. So I'm going to go over the rest of these pretty quickly, because I don't think any of these are as good as the ones I just named. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of quickly scroll through it. If you want to pause the screen, go ahead and do so. So when it comes to an axe pommel, you can practically pick anything. And as simple as an axe pommel might be, it can change your entire combat experience. You know, so this one, again, you want to feel like Thor, this would be the one. This gives you an all-around stat boost. One of my personal favorites is the Suitor's Grip of Flame. So anytime has a low perk activation chance to grant a Wrath of Flame on any successful hit. Wrath of Flame greatly increases strength, restores a small amount of health, and fires a wave of energy on normal attacks. That just sounds cool. Here's another all-around stat booster, but it gives you a cool little purple streak at the end of your R1 combo. It's alright. Not super amazing. At that point, you might as well just get the +2 and everything else. And then the Blightbringer. Here's another super good one that I think is pretty underrated. So low perk activation chance to strike with an explosion curse that inflicts weakness to enemies on any successful hit. Now weakness makes it so you just deal more damage overall across the board. Valkyrie's Might makes it so anytime that you do a cleave, an executioner cleave, so when you're holding R2 down, you get that really cool animation off, you have a moderate perk activation chance of having this massive explosion on the very next attack, and then you also have a low perk activation chance to cause an explosion on any successful hit, so it's kind of a 2-for-1. The Wing of the Fallen gives you a moderate perk activation chance on any successful kill to grant Power of the Valkyrie, increasing runic attack. So this is when if you're fighting mobs of enemies, this would be a good one. The reason I say that is because, again, you need to get a kill for this to activate. So without that, say you're just fighting an enemy one-on-one, this won't pop up at all. So with Retribution, it gives you this really powerful throw. To me, it kind of messes up my timing sometimes, but the animation of it seems a little bit more powerful, so it's kind of cool sometimes. Right after that, we have the Healing Mist. So anytime that you get a successful hit, you have a low perk activation chance of just restoring some health. Pretty good. But then you have another one that gives you a low perk activation chance to grant a health burst on any successful axe hit. So kind of the same thing, but they have different stats. I'd probably go with this one, yes, because of the leg. When it comes to the blades pommel, I usually 9 times out of 10 stick with the grips of the Valkyrie. Gives a low perk activation chance on any successful blades hit to grant power of the Valkyrie, increasing strength and Runic. So as you're just slicing and dicing, you're gonna get stronger with it, which is super nice. Also gives you really good strength, cooldown, and Runic. Um, if you don't want to use this one or you don't like the also I think the only reason why I actually ended up picking it is because of the gold in it. You see? Because the one I was using before was give me one moment. The one I was using before was the Forgotten Flame. So moderate perk activation chance on any successful hit to grant aura fire, increasing strength and restoring a small amount of health. So again, just a different way that you want to play the game. So when it comes to runic attacks, you can, yes, use anything. Now, after playing the game for a while, these are my experiences of what the best are to use. So quickly, Hell's Touch is pretty good. Again, you can make an argument for any of these. But with Hell's Touch, it is super, super fast. You can get some really good damage. And there's enchantments to make it more powerful as well. Now, moving on for your L1 and R2 runic attack. You'll hear me say that Blessing of the Frost is the best runic attack, and again, that's my opinion. Overall, Glaive Storm might be more for everybody because it's a simple press of the button, and you're like Thor, and you're just throwing that thing around, you know, and hitting multiple enemies. But the one thing I like about the Blessing of the Frost is your melee attacks are faster, they're more powerful, they interrupt enemy attacks, you know. You also have it for 10, 15, maybe 20 seconds again depending on the enchantments you have that can give you some time for other cooldowns. So moving on to the Blades runic attack, I can't sit here and like 100% tell you, oh, this is the best runic attack in the game. But again, after using so many for so long, the ones I would recommend are stuff like the Wrath of Artemis, the Blast of Hephaestus. Icarus Storm is pretty cool, but I'd probably just stick to Spartan Charge. The reason I like this one a lot is because it has this 2-part animation to it, but in the very first part of the animation, you're invincible. So anytime that you're about to take damage, you just pop this bad boy, and now you negate all this damage, which is super, super nice. So moving on to the second runic attack for the blades. There's so many good ones of this. You could practically use anything. The ones, again, I would recommend would probably be the Hyperion Grapple. You see a lot of that. The Hyperion Slam, this is my favorite. The reason why I prefer this over the Grapple is because when it comes to bigger bosses, sometimes the Grapple doesn't work. So now you have a runic attack you can't really use against that boss. And the Hyperion Slam is just as fast, pretty much, and you can do a bunch of damage out of it. But the Hyperion Grapple allows you to switch stances a little bit faster. So I guess after all of that, the only real question that remains is, so what is the best way or most OP way to build Kratos? Now, everything I just talked about was trying to tell you guys that there's so many different ways and opinions to make Kratos as overpowered as you want him to be. Because there's people that think that being super elusive and not being touched is the way to go. And hey, that's for you. There's some people that think that having the highest defense and, you know, not really being able to take all that much damage is the best way to play. And like, hey, that's, again, your opinion. People think that just spamming runic attacks like Zeus, okay, is the best way to play the game. And hey, that's up to you, okay? Like, for example, the way I like to play the game is different from everybody else, you know, and that's why I say the Sindri armor set's the best. Okay, the reason I say that is because that's my opinion. I like the Sindri armor set because it fits my playstyle. I don't like to go down. I hate going down. Going down sucks. I hate dying. So to combat that, I try to find a way to not only just do decent amount of damage, but to survive an onslaught of never-ending enemies. You know, so if you were to ask me what I would do, the first thing I would probably tell you is the Valkyrie build. Not because, again, that's what I think is the best or anything like that. But overall, I think for an average player, this can give you the easiest time. With its high cooldown, you can get rid of so many enemies just with your runic attacks. And then how much damage your runic attacks do is insane. So again, this gives you an easier experience. Also, at the same time, it has decent survivability, so you're not going down in just a few hits. Now, if you're looking for an immortality build, this is what I prefer. Again, my choice. So if you're asking me what I prefer, this would be it. I'm gonna build them from the bottom up so you can kind of see. So right off rip, it's going to be this Sindri set. So I'm gonna just kind of hover over my enchantments real quick, kind of show you what I'm using. I had already did this in another video, but just in case you didn't see it, these are the enchantments I would use practically every single playthrough on any armor. They are subjected to change, so you can change them if you want, but this is what I would use. Also, if you would like to look at the right side of the screen where all the stats are and stuff, overall, again, this might not appeal to everybody, like stats wise, but let me tell you what's amazing about this, okay? The 140 luck is more than enough, okay? The cooldown, super high. You're getting these abilities back pronto. Okay, almost as if the Valkyrie one. Go back and compare it. It's just like 1 or 2 second difference. The vitality does not matter because you will not lose health if played correctly. When it comes to the axe pommels, you can use practically anything, but I 9 times out of 10 use the Ymir's breath. I like it the most. I like just slowing down the enemies and again having that breathing room. Anyway, that's pretty much going to do it for my video. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and hit that like button. That would mean an absolute ton to me. And be sure to comment down below anything that you want. As always, I love y'all. I hope you guys stay smooth. And I hope that I get to see you in my future videos. Peace.